What up? Steve, Canadian Sasquatch, coming at you with another Mead Monday. That's right, it's time to drink some mead. But before we get into drinking some mead and answering your guys' questions, last week I sent up a poll using those card things that pop up over there. And so 5 of you responded out of the 74 people that viewed the video. So not too good. Hopefully we can get a little bit more interaction with you guys. I also need more questions. Comment down below with questions you got. Whatever questions, I need them. I'm running out of questions. So with the poll results, we had one person who liked the original length that I was doing. One person liked the newer, shorter version that I was doing. And 3 people wanted it somewhere in between the two. So that's where we're going today. And with that, today, we have Minstrel's Mead. The minstrel was an entertainer in the Renaissance period that was commonly afforded the privilege of drinking mead with their noble masters. Enjoy our version of the Drink of Kings. So it is a Texas Mead Works mead, 11%, says honey wine, and that's all we got on the bottle. So let's crack it open and see what it really is. There's no dates, no description of anything other than honey wine. Oh, right off the bat, I get some aroma of the mead. Put that right there. Going for the pour. It is a nice crystal clear. Absolutely gorgeous color. Nice golden yellow, crystal clear. I can see right through it, and you guys can see me right through it. Absolutely lovely. Let's go ahead and get some aroma on this now, shall we? So it does have the typical mead aroma, the sweetness, the honey. I do get a little bit of the fusels that are in there. And I want to say like currant, like a black currant or a red currant aroma. I don't know why. So no idea what kind of honey they use. So those aromas could be from the honey. So yeah, that's what we got on the aroma. So how about we dive into the taste here? And cheers, everybody! Thank you for joining me on this Mead Monday. Alrighty, so this is fun. So I actually do get a little bit of that currant taste as I'm drinking it. It does have the fresh honey flavor, like if you took a spoon of honey out of the jar and shoveled it into your face, it does taste like that. So I expect they back sweeten this to get that raw honey flavor. Those fusels that I got on the nose do not show themselves in the flavor whatsoever. I also get a little bit of caramel. Again, that could be something that's coming through the honey. I've had wildflower honey that had a strong caramel flavor. Very little of the 11% alcohol is coming through. So yeah, so all in all, this is a really well done mead. So as I said, there's very little information on the bottle. All you know is that it is mead, honey wine, 11%, from Texas Mead Works. Based on the aroma and the flavor of it, it would be most likely a traditional. Nothing else added to it other than the honey. The color is gorgeous. It's crystal clear. It has nice legs to it. Probably be a medium, just under a medium full, like body feel. It's not thick and cloying. It is a sweet mead. But not overly sweet. And I say that knowing full well that my idea of a sweet mead and most other people's idea of a sweet mead is different. My sweet meads are cloying to other people. This is definitely not on that same level. So it's a couple notches below cloying for sweetness. Yeah, the only issue with the aroma is I do get those fusels still. And yeah, the flavor is really good. I'd quite happily drink a lot of this. So the scoring of this is a thumbs up. And with that, let's get into a question. So it's one of the questions that I hear, or something that I see a lot of beer brewers do, is they want to boil and cook the honey. I want to talk about that and how it's not such a great idea because of a variety of reasons. So firstly, the honey itself is antibacterial, antiviral, antimicrobial. It's one of those things that you can use for preserving other foods, as long as the water content is 17% or less. So when you buy a jug of honey, its water content is going to be 17% or less. As soon as it's above 17%, that's when it can start to ferment or spoil or whatever. And I know that doesn't make it sound good for not boiling because, well, when we make mead, we add a lot more water to it. But the yeast and the bacteria and all that would get into the yeast typically are lesser strains of those, weaker strains, as it were. And when we add the yeast that we use to ferment with, the wine yeast, the beer yeast, or whatever, those yeasts will typically be a lot stronger, aggressive yeast. They'll actually cannibalize the weaker yeasts, turn them into their own food. And because of that, you don't really have to worry so much about the yeast, the wild yeast or the bacteria or whatever coming through and ruining your batch of mead. Thus, there isn't really a need to pasteurize the honey. I can still see why people would want to pasteurize because they're still freaking out over all the wild yeast, bugs, etc. that are in there. But the other part of it is when you heat the honey, you get all those aromas just flowing out of it. And honey is so delicate that if you release the aromas, then a lot of those aromas will no longer be in the mead because they've been released into the air. So you don't really want to do that. You want to try and keep as much of that yummy honey aroma as you can. Another thing is when you heat the honey, what it will start doing is it will start caramelizing, and caramelizing changes the flavor as well. The only time you really want to do that is if you're making a bochet, which is made with caramelized honey. That is where you take the honey to boil the crap out of it until it darkens and gets just nice caramel flavors in there. But you take that, so you have your bochet, caramelized honeys. You don't really want those flavors. Well, you might want those flavors in something else, but if you're trying to make a traditional that accentuates the honey that you're trying to showcase, then you don't really want those flavors to change when you're cooking them. So you want to use the raw honey to do that. So there's no real good reason to boil the honey, to heat the honey even, unless you're making a bochet. Because the yeast that we use take care of whatever's in there. The honey takes care of it as well, since it's a preservative. And if you want to do an experiment on this, then what you can do is you just go buy some honey, preferably raw, unpasteurized, from your farmer's market or even at the store. You can quite often find some decent honey at the store. Get that and make a batch of mead out of it. 3 pounds of honey to a gallon of water. And that's it. Don't add anything to it. Just let it sit there and see how long it takes for anything to actually happen. I've done this. A buddy of mine had beehives. I took some of his honey and I just added water to it. I did add some nutrients. I believe, I just added some DAP and some Ferment K to it. Just so there was some other food in there. Those were clean. You can boil those, put a little bit of water, boil those if you want to make sure it's absolutely free of bugs on that. But yeah, it took about a month before any of the yeast and bacteria that were on the honey to even start doing anything with the fermentation of the honey and all that. So if it takes a month for the stuff that's on the honey to do it, and we add yeast that starts within 12, 24, 48 hours, those yeasts are doing the job and there's nothing left for the wild stuff. So you don't really need to pasteurize it for that either. So that's a really good experiment to try, especially if you can help harvest the honey yourself. Go to a friend, go to a Brewery and say, hey, I'd like to help out, and then get some of the honey afterwards, and then just try it. Actually doing it that way, even though it took a month before it started to ferment, and then I think it took 5-6 months for the fermentation to finish. But it was actually some of the best mead that I had ever made, just straight up like that. It was probably just because it was slow and the yeasts that were on there were just right for the honey or whatever. And then I actually managed to harvest those yeasts, and I made a braggot gruit out of it. Some of you people will remember the Sasquatch health tonic that was made from the yeast that I harvested off of just the traditional mead that I let wild ferment. So again, you don't really have to worry about whatever's in the honey. That being said, you do need to make sure you are sanitary and you clean up and sanitize all the rest of your equipment, just in case there's something else floating around on your equipment or in those bottles that you want to bottle and all that. So proper sanitizing and cleaning and all that, still a must for the equipment. Just be gentle with the honey. Don't cook the honey, don't boil the honey. If you've got some clumpy honey because it's solidified, then use a little bit of warm water to mix it up. I would use water no hotter than like 130 or whatever's coming out of your hot water tank, and just gently mix it until it's dissolved, and then use cold water for the rest of it, because you don't want it to be too warm, because that goes back to temperature control, and we don't want hot must for our yeast because it'll get sweaty yeast juices in the mead, and nobody wants that. So yeah, don't cook your honey unless you're making a bouchette. Not a bouchette. This is a tasty mead by Texas Mead Works. The Minstrel's mead. Back into that bottle right there. And with that, my friends, we are done with another Mead Monday. And like I said at the start, I need your guys' questions. I'm running out of questions. Post them below. Hit me up on Twitter. Hit me up on Facebook. All my links are below in the description. Any questions whatsoever, please send them my way. And if you like the video, please hit that like button down there. It really does help me feel good. It doesn't really help anything else. It's just a feel-good thing. Makes me feel that these videos are worth doing. If you have any other comments or questions, comment section. Let's start a conversation. Let's talk about stuff down in the comments. And if you want to see more of this, hit that subscribe button down there as well. And you can see more of these videos pop up in your subscription feed as they come about every Monday, Mead Monday. And I'm still trying to work on some of the other videos. It's just time. Time is a problem. So with that, my friends, thank you for joining me on this Mead Monday. Be sure to have a pint of awesome, because I know I will right here. Cheers, everybody.